What's that?
Tell her I'm not late.
Yeah, right. Another thing with sleep too, last Rumble seminar I went to, it said it's very important to actually sleep in complete darkness, where if you've got a TV on the background or any kind of light, like even though your eyes are closed and you technically not see it, your body can still read that there's light off in there and you're not getting into that deep stage 4 sleep, REM sleep, the way that you should be. So he's like, blinds completely closed, room completely blacked out, you'll definitely get better resting. That makes sense, because I think he notated some study where with like blind people, like their body, even though they were blind, their bodies could still sense whether there was light present when they were sleeping, things like that. That's crazy. Under-eating. Starving yourself ain't gonna lean you out. Yeah, you might lose weight, but you're gonna be burning off muscle and fat at the same time, which is not what we want. If you're trying to come in here and get stronger, you always talk about strength being the most important, more 10 general skills. If you're under-eating, that's not gonna happen. Everything else will come together at the same time too. So, like I said, you guys, a lot of people trying to do paleo on their own, they're not eating enough. So, like I said, that's what we're kind of giving you guys tonight, some minimum baseline requirements, especially in protein. You know, very important. Overtraining, kind of what I've been doing the last couple of weeks. Hitting 4 WODs over 30 minutes, and then going out and hitting an 8 or 12 mile trail run on a Saturday morning. I'm actually resting this week, taking a whole week off. I haven't had a complete rest week in 3 to 4 months, and I tell people, if you've been training hard, that means coming in a minimum of 3, typically, ideally, I'd say 4 to 5 times a week, and hitting it hard, putting your max effort out on the watch. You don't have to be putting an RX up there, but putting in your all on that given day, hitting it hard for 3 to 4 months, you've earned yourself a whole week off about every 3 to 4 months. You'll actually come back, joints feeling good, well rested, stronger, ready to go. 1 week's absolutely fine. You take 2 weeks off, you're going to take a step back. 1 week off, totally acceptable, providing you've been training hard and have earned that rest week. So I'm resting this week. I'll be back on full force for about 10 weeks or so, and then racing the Pinhoti 100 again in November, and then I'll take a week off. That's my plan. But yeah, definitely watch the overtraining. Kind of some keys to watch on that. I mean, if you see feel you're getting slower and slower on the WODs, a big thing like if you get you're laying in bed at night, you're resting, your heart rate's out of control, beating like crazy, you have a hard time sleeping at night, tossing and turning and restless, your cortisol levels are probably jacked up from overtraining. You might need to ratchet it back. All right, and it's part of the overall plan. You got to look at the long-term goal. I'm like, oh, I didn't work out that day, I'm going to get fat or whatever, or lose muscle. That ain't going to happen. So just kind of look at the whole big picture. I know me taking this whole week off will make me better when I come back to training next week. All right. Stress is another thing. If you're really stressed out, you could be doing everything right with your diet and training, but that could cause your cortisol levels to go up and have a hard time losing that last bit of fat. So, but obviously, we got a lot more stress now than people did thousands of years ago. We got bills to pay, jobs to attend to, things like that. Before they had to basically go out and hunt for food, fish, sleep, whatever, mate, all that fun stuff. That's right. All right. So autoimmune diseases, like I said, I mentioned a bunch on that list. If you guys want to actually just pass out while I'm talking, you guys can look at some of the various nice autoimmune diseases on there. Is there anybody in here that's like, I pretty much know what everybody has in here from reading waivers and all that, but I know in the past I've had members with MS or things like that, different autoimmune diseases, and basically there are certain things you definitely want to avoid if you do absolutely no grains. Obviously that's completely against paleo, legumes, dairy, even eggs. Eggs are paleo, but there's been some studies where there's things in eggs, tomatoes, eggplants, certain potatoes and peppers, which will actually aggravate people who have MS and other autoimmune symptoms even more. So even though it's a paleo-friendly food like a tomato, you've got an autoimmune condition, you should probably avoid it altogether. Really good book to read. I've talked about Rob Wolf a couple times in here. Basically, he came out with a book called The Paleo Solution. I want to say it came out probably back in November. So really, it's an easy read. You can get it on Amazon. It's a really quick read, about 8 to 9 hours, non-technical. Kind of just really goes through the whole ins and outs of the paleo diet, right? I'm telling you guys, giving you guys a lot of information of like what to do, but it really goes into what to do and why to do it. And you really want some of the science behind all this, but not from a real technical standpoint. Like I said, some of the books are pretty easy to read. It's called The Paleo Solution by Rob Wolf. And Rob Wolf, he owned there's CrossFit NorCal, and NorCal Strength and Conditioning now, but basically trains the same way that we do. He's probably about my age, 37, 38. He wrote the diet, or that book from the perspective of somebody who does the type of training that we do, so it's very, very relevant. Whereas he was actually, I think, a student of Dr. Corday, who wrote the original paleo diet book. And so he obviously studied under him, came out with his own book, which is I think is geared a lot more towards us versus the original Paleo Diet book, which is more for, not so much for, well, there was the original Paleo Diet book, then he came out with one for athletes, but that was actually geared towards more endurance athletes too, than CrossFitters. So, but definitely a really good recommended read. Other good things to include in your daily diet or lifestyle. Coconut products are really good for your digestive tract. Probiotics, especially if you're taking antibiotics. So you take antibiotics, you know, tetracycline, amoxicillin, whatever. I had to take it. I was having a respiratory infection back in probably February or whatever, and I took amoxicillin, and it completely messed my digestive tract up, and like not going to the bathroom regularly. Basically, we got good bacteria and bad bacteria in the body, and then antibiotics doesn't distinguish between the two. It just goes in there and kills everything, right? And that can completely mess up your digestive tract and how it takes you to digest your food, cycle out, go to the bathroom next day or whatever. I'm like, oh, what's going on with me? I'm not going to the bathroom like I should. Jumped on some probiotics for the advice of my chiropractor. Within a couple days, things worked its way out. Finished a bottle of probiotics with everything, you know, came back to normal. But a lot of times doctors will prescribe antibiotics all day long. You're going to kill off everything in your body. Sure, you're going to kill whatever the problem is, but you're going to end up screwing your gut up at the same time if you're not taking probiotics or whatever to replace all this healthy bacteria that you just killed off, all right? So something to keep in mind with that. Let's see here. Lifestyle management, just talking about sleep and stress. Obviously, you know, we've got jobs and busy schedules and everything like that, but you really want to try to be getting that minimum of 7 to 9 hours of sleep per night. Do whatever you can to keep your stress levels low. Cleansing and detoxification. I think this stuff is really cool. I did my first cleanse about 3.5 years ago. I'll be 38 at the end of the month. It seemed like when I got into my 30s, that I said my metabolism in my 30s, my metabolism is slowing down. I wasn't doing paleo, but I was eating pretty clean. I was eating, you know, protein, carbs, and fat at every meal. I wasn't eating a lot of processed food, so on and so forth. But then my stomach kept getting bigger. Wasn't going to the bathroom regularly. Gassy, bloated. Didn't feel all that good. Having a hard time losing body fat. Thought that my chiropractor started getting into. I've been going to him since 2006, but he really started getting into more holistic medicine, homeopathic type stuff back then. Suggested I do a detox and a cleanse. It was basically 10 days. So for 10 days, pretty much ate all organic fruits and vegetables. There's a couple products that he sells: oxy powder, probiotics, total system detox. I tested high for some different metals and some other crap. Basically, in 10 days, I dropped my body weight by about 14 pounds. It was pretty much all around my midsection. I went from like riding with a 34-inch waist down to about 31 in about 10 days. And like the first couple days sucked really bad. It felt like I had the flu. Like I felt weak. I felt just like toxic, just miserable. And all of a sudden, after a couple days, it broke. I'm like, man, I feel like really freaking good. And rode that out like the rest of the 10 days. And just kind of slowly integrated healthy paleo foods back into my diet. And pretty much now I'll do a cleanse about once a year for maintenance. I do everything a lot better now than I ever have in my life. So I stay a lot cleaner throughout the year than I did before. But, you know, I like to tell people, like, every 5,000 miles you take your car to get your oil change and a filter change and all that, how long do you own your car? A couple of years, right? So if you're going to do that for your car, like, why wouldn't you do the same thing for your body that you own for hopefully 80 or 90 years, right? So, like, we live in a really freaking toxic world, whether you're really breathing in exhaust fumes, you're pumping gas, gasoline gets on your hand, insecticides, pesticides from foods, whatever, that stuff gets in our body. And what I've seen personally with me and some other people that I've had go do cleanses, so your body will absorb these toxins in your skin or in your fat cells or whatever with the intent to try to break it down and excrete it later. A lot of these toxins are not fat soluble, so they basically just get bonded to the fat. So not only are you trying to burn off fat, you're trying to burn off fat with petrochemicals from your Tide laundry detergent bonded to it or whatever is in there, and you can't release it. It's stuck. Whereas doing a cleanse will kind of come in and help release all this stuff from your pores and skin and tissue and all that, and make it accelerate fat loss. So now, I mean, I pretty much stay right in the low 170s easy, like no problem. Whereas before, I was like I said, I got in my 30s, I was like weighing like close to 190. My arms and legs were, I was doing a different kind of training then. This was prior to CrossFit. Arms and legs are bigger. Muscular-wise, you know, I was doing more bodybuilding isolation type training, but my freaking gut, it wasn't like I was pitching a lot of fat on it, but it was, if I stood at the side, it would like protrude out, and it was all toxins and stuff, and it just completely cleared me out. I said it felt like it reversed my clock 10 years. It was pretty awesome. So I'm due for one this year. I was supposed to do it back in probably January, February. It didn't happen. I'm trying to find some time to do it. I might have to roll over to this January, February. But now, like I said, my lifestyle is a lot better now than it was before. I don't use like Tide laundry detergent with a perfume and a dye in it. It's basically, yeah, it smells good and it's pretty. It's all freaking chemicals. It gets on you, like now the smell of it, it makes me sick. I pretty much buy the 7th generation perfume, dye-free type stuff. Don't use dryer sheets. You know, I use bleach a little bit on white clothes, but pretty much all my dish soap, soap for my body, like I usually buy Dr. Bronner's organic peppermint oil, you know, liquid soap, bar soap, all that stuff. And so I'm probably a lot better off now than I was before. Another thing too, like I know I've talked to some people who use the antibacterial hand soaps, like Dial and soft soap and all that. There's an ingredient there called triclosan, which is known to decrease thyroid function. So if you want to slow your thyroid down, which can obviously lead to problems with fat loss and all that, go ahead and use your soft soap. But it's a great link. Actually, I don't have it on the website, but if you email me, I'll send it to you. It's like a cosmetic database link. You can go in there and type in the name of pretty much any, you know, off-the-shelf item that you get at CVS or Kroger or whatever, and it'll tell you the toxicity level of that chemical, or whether, you know, whether it's good for you, neutral, whatever. You go type in triclosan and see what pops up in there. It's pretty nasty stuff. So I think in Europe it's not even legal, but they've got it in soft soap and Dial and all that here. I remember maybe a year ago, some guy from some advertising company called me and said, "Hey, we've got these great antibacterial like dispensers that we can put in your bathroom for free. It's just got our, you know, vendor, you know, our clients advertising on there." I'm like, "Well, that sounds good. Like, what's the antibacterial agent in there?" He's like, "Send